Continuing where we left off, Deuteronomy 28:68. Read on, Jew.
Deuteronomy 28:68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt. Egypt meaning a Greek word which is bondage. The Lord shall bring thee into bondage again with ships. How do we know Egypt means bondage? Give me Exodus 20 and verse 2.
Exodus chapter 20 verse 2. I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
Out of the house of what?
Out of the house of bondage.
Out of the house of bondage. So jump back to Deuteronomy 28:68 and read that one from the top.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
With what?
With ships.
With what?
With ships.
The so-called people of Negro descent, West Indians and Haitians. You are the children of Israel, the southern kingdom, which was brought to the shores of America and the Indies and the islands by way of cargo slave ship. Yes, the transatlantic slave trade is Bible prophecy. How do we know? How do we know that the so-called West Indian, Haitian, and people of Negro descent in America are not African? Let's see what Christ said. Give me Luke 21 and verse 19. Because we're going to get down to the bottom of this so-called African pride, so-called Egyptology, and these Afrocentric philosophies that are starting to erupt in different parts of the ghettos in America.
Verse 19.
Yeah, start at verse 19. These are Christ's words. Let's listen to what Christ said.
Luke chapter 21 verse 19. In your patience possess ye your souls. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh.
Christ is telling the Jews that were in Jerusalem, when you see Jerusalem compassed with armies, know that the desolation thereof spoken by Daniel the prophet is nigh, meaning it's near. Read on, Hebrew.
Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains.
Then let them which are in Judea flee into the mountains. You're going to find out that those mountains Christ is talking about is the Atlas Mountains of Africa. We were running, the so-called Jews were running from Roman persecution and slavery. How could they run north when the Romans were coming from the north? How could they run into Europe when the Romans were coming from North Europe? You're going to find out that those mountains that Christ was talking about is the Atlas Mountains of North Africa. Read on, Jude.
And let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto.
Read on.
For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled.
Read on.
But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days.
Read on, Hebrew.
For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations.
Led away captive into where?
Into all nations.
They shall fall by the sword and be led away captive into all nations. As for those people in Israel today, who are they? Read on, Hebrew.
And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
How do we know that the so-called West Indian, Haitian, and people of Negro descent are not African? We're going to read it for you. This is a Zondervan Bible Dictionary, so-called written by the West Indian and Haitian and people of Negro descent, so-called written by your slave master. Let's see what he knows about you that he's not telling you in these schools and these universities and these churches. Let's see. Let's look up Ham. Noah had 3 sons. His youngest son was named Ham. Let's see what the Bible Dictionary says about Ham.
Zondervan Bible Dictionary. Definition: Ham, the youngest son of Noah. born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races.
Ham became the progenitor of the dark races, meaning he became the father of the dark races. Read on, Jew.
He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes.
Not the who?
Not the Negroes.
Not the Negroes, but who?
But the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites.
Those 4 families of the Africans. If you're not of these 4 families, you're not African, Negro. How do we know this, that this man isn't making it up? I'm going to show it to you. It's a little blurry, but we're going to try to hold it still for you. Ham, youngest son of Noah. 8 people to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes. You see that? Not the Negroes. You're going to find out that your slave master knew who you were all the time. And he never told you for a reason, because ignorance is profitable. So-called Negro, so-called West Indian, so-called Haitian. Ignorance is profitable. Now, read that part again. Or better yet, jump down to Revelations chapter 12 and verse 6.
Revelations chapter 12, verse 6. And the woman fled into the wilderness.
The woman fled into the wilderness. Once again, that wilderness is the Atlas Mountains of North Africa. And the woman that is talking about here is the nation of Israel. How do we know that this woman is talking about as a nation of Israel? Hold that. Jump to Isaiah 54 and 4. This is how you get understanding on the word of God, dividing the word of truth. Precept upon precept, line upon line. Here a little, there a little. 54 and verse 4 in Isaiah. We're going to find out when it says the woman in Revelation chapter 12. What is it talking about?
Isaiah chapter 54, verse 4.
Read on, Jew.
Fear not, for thou shalt not be ashamed, neither be thou confounded, for thou shalt not be put to shame. For thou shalt forget the shame of thy youth, and shalt not remember the reproach of thy widowhood any more. For thy Maker is thine husband, the Lord of hosts is his name.
The Maker, meaning the Creator, is your husband, O children of Israel. The woman who Revelations 12 is talking about. Read on.
And thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. The God of the whole earth shall he be called. For the Lord hath called thee as a woman forsaken and grieved in spirit. As a woman forsaken.
As a woman forsaken. The whole nation of Israel is the woman that Revelations 12 is talking about. Jump back to Revelations 12 and 6. Read that again.
Revelations chapter 12, verse 6. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days.
You're going to find out that that wilderness is the Atlas Mountains of North Africa, where the so-called Jews ran, facing Roman persecution and slavery, where we were kings and queens, where the so-called Negroes were kings and queens along the west coast of Africa. And to prove that, let's read this history book called From Babylon to Timbuktu by a black Hebrew historian by the name of Rudolph Windsor. Give me page 89 in there. And we're gonna get some history on this, because the so-called Negro and West Indian and Haitian, they still think they're African today.
Okay, not 84.
84. Yeah, page 84. Read that.
From Babylon to Timbuktu. In the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem in the 70 AD. General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state with great slaughter. During the period of military governors of the Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people.
In 70 AD, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the Jews of Jerusalem, so-called West Indian Haitians and people of Negro descent in America today. Read on.
During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa.
Fled where?
Fled into Africa.
Fled where?
Fled into Africa.
Wow. In 70 AD, it has been estimated that more than 1 million Jews fled into Africa. Facing what?
Fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery. The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves.
The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves. Now, jump down to, we're going to go to Revelation chapter 12 and verse 13. And we're going to finish this thing about the woman. Because a lot of you don't know who the woman is, where she fled, and when she fled there.
Revelations chapter 12 verse 13.
Read on, Jew.
And when the dragon saw that he was cast onto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child.
And when Satan realized that he was casted into the earth and could no longer go up into the heavenly realm from which he fell, he persecuted the nation of Israel, who Christ came out of. That's who the man-child is talking about. Christ came out of the nation of Israel. It's from the tribe of Judah. Read on, Jew.
And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for a time and times, and a half time, from the face of the serpent. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth, and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which she keep the commandments of God, and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. And I stood upon the sand of
That's it on that one, Jew.